Americans are leaving their jobs, over 4 million every month at the moment.
It may not just be worth it for some folks. And so in some cases, people are quitting and they're not yet returning. They're taking a break. Americans are burnt out.
44% of people are stressed at work. And this is not normal. There's something extremely wrong with our workplaces today.
According to the World Health Organization, working long hours is killing 750,000 people every year through stroke and heart diseases. 750,000 every year. In other words, more people are dying from overwork than from malaria.
Hello everyone. I have a very simple question. How is it possible that in the well-funded corporates and startups, where employees are working under the best of the situations and conditions, they are even getting paid, yet the corporates are complaining about the productivity of the employees, and at the same time, even the employees are having all-time high stress, anxiety, and burnout. But when we look at the situation of Isha Foundation, where the employees are working much more hours what they were working previously, are getting paid minimal to nothing, and yet they feel highly rejuvenated and energized after doing work. It means the problem is not with the people. People are willing to work, even for nothing. It simply means that we are doing something fundamentally wrong in the corporates, specifically in their small businesses.
So actually I was doing the same work before back at home, but there was a lot of difference. Here they call it seva because it is like a seva, it's not like work. Back at home it was so difficult for me to even sit for 15 minutes.
Because if I look back and see the kind of activities that I do, in a single day here in Sadhanpada would have taken me a week outside, I would say. This is genuine.
The kind of volunteering activity that you get to see, the effort and heart they put out into it without really thinking about what the outcome might be.
I was just amazed the level of activity we were putting in, and after that I had so much energy. Never at my place or at my office I've felt that level of energy.
But the question over here is, why should an employer really be worried about the mental health of an employee? To answer that question, there are two major reasons. Number one, to increase the profitability of the business. See, when the employee is really happy, the chances of errors are minimal, and that increases the productivity of the employees and hence the profitability of the company. And the second major reason is decrease in the chances of the failure. See, management spends a huge amount of money in hiring, firing, retaining an employee who is highly demotivated. That causes a huge outflow of cash flow and put the management in a situation into higher risk of failure. Just to give you a perspective, cash flow is the number one reason why businesses fail in any part of the world. 82% of the businesses fail because of the poor management of cash flow. And what is one of the biggest outflow of the cash flow? It's the payroll and management of human resources. There is a very interesting statistics upon this. Around 15 to 20% revenue in a retail business, around 30% revenue in a restaurant business, and around whooping 50% revenue in service-based industries just goes into the salaries and management of the human resources. So if a company is paying around 15 to 50% of their revenue in managing their human resources, and even the people are not productive, sooner or later the company is definitely going to fall. So it's extremely important as a future entrepreneur and manager to look into this aspect of the organization so that you can prevent your organization to fail. So in this case study of Isha Foundation, we'll try to unravel how Isha Foundation is managing extremely high productivity of their employees and yet at a very low cost.
I was not performing at the peak, but now here the support system, the entire energy, the way we do it, the way we are committed, it just becomes a very beautiful experience.
But here's the catch, guys. Is it justified to evaluate a non-profit organization to that of a profit organization where the pressures of the employees are not really same? So let me give an example to explain this scenario. Let's say you are an employee of an XYZ company and the company generated 50 lakhs of revenues a year. And in that process, they incurred 45 lakhs of expenses. So generating a profit of only 5 lakhs. In the financial terms, you will call it a failed company. And the employees will have a huge pressure to generate higher sales, higher revenue, higher productivity in the next quarter. But suppose if you put the same scenario on Isha Foundation, where they have generated 50 lakhs of revenue and they have spent 45 lakhs in educating 1,000 students and generating an excess and profit of 5 lakhs, they will be called an extremely successful organization. Because an NPO is evaluated on the impact they have created and a profit organization is evaluated on the financial returns they give. So just to compensate that, will evaluate Isha Foundation only on the financial terms. How much revenue they are generating, how much cost they are incurring in managing human resources, just to keep it a balance. But here's another catch, guys. Even on the financial terms, NPOs are exempted from paying taxes. So again, there is a disbalance in the comparison. So let's look into another example to understand this. Now suppose the same company XYZ is doing very good in city A. Now they want to expand their business in city B to increase the market size to generate their revenues. To do that, they can show their extremely good financials to the investors and they can raise capital and move into city B to expand their business. But an NPO like Isha Foundation are highly paralyzed to do that because no investor will be interested to put any money into an NPO because they do not focus on financial returns. So an NPO is highly paralyzed to generate their revenue in comparison to a profit organizations where they can easily expand and increase the chances of their generating revenue. And since they are helping the government to achieve their goals as well, the government exempt them from paying the taxes. So let's ignore the taxes part over here and look into their financials and how they are managing to do that.
I'm running a volunteer organization with over 4,000 full-time volunteers and over 3 million part-time volunteers doing variety of work, huge projects, over a dozen businesses and the spiritual movement.
Isha Foundation's majority of business operate in USA and India. So if you look into the 2021 financials of USA, they have generated around $29 million in revenue. And around half of their revenue comes by selling their services and products. To give you a better picture, let's understand the metrics. So any company who earns a revenue less than $40 million a year is considered a small business in US. And you'll be surprised to know that around 99.9% businesses in USA are small in nature. And in that 99.9%, 65% of the business are not even profitable, and 50% of the businesses fail within 5 years of their time, and on mere 9% make $1 million a year. Even if you exclude the donation part of Isha Foundation, they are making exemplar more than $1 million per month. The question here is, how are they really managing to earn such a huge amount of revenue? So if Isha Foundation is managing to earn such a huge amount of revenue, they must be spending a huge amount in their good team. But here's the most peculiar thing what Isha Foundation is doing. They are doing this at a very minimal cost of only 1.9% of their revenue. That is insane, guys. And even if you look into the key employers and officers of the organization, none of them are taking any remuneration. Even the treasurer, Mr. Kaniyappam, was taking around $5,414 until last year, forgave his remuneration this year. And not just the revenue, even if you look at the net profit margin, it's around 62%. So when is the last time have you seen any company making a net profit of 62%? And even if you look at the financials of their Indian operation, the same story is repeated. They have an insane amount of closing cash balance of 95 crores. And if you look at the expenses part, almost nothing is paid into salaries. Now the thing is, how the hell Isha is managing to do that? To answer that question, there are two very important psychological strategies Isha is implementing. The number one strategy is the intent communication. Understand this scenario. Throughout the life cycle of an employee in a company, what does a management really communicate to the employee? 99% of the time, the communication between the management and employee is mostly what management needs, the targets they need, the performance they need, the reports they need, changes, customer dissatisfaction, and blah blah blah.
Gallup conducted a survey. It found that 60% of workers are emotionally detached from their jobs.
See, the intent of the employee on hiring the employee is very well communicated from the very first day. That they are here to serve the organization. They are here for the welfare of the organization. This is exactly what Isha Foundation has managed to reverse it.
So the center is an opportunity, so use this properly. Don't use it for any other purpose. Keep some spaces of sanctity for inner development, and it should stay that way. It's very, very important. Otherwise, we'll miss the whole point.
They have reverse communicated their intention of hiring an employee. Most of the communication between the foundation and the future employee or volunteer is mostly on the intent that the organization is for their welfare, not the other way around.
If you use this properly in your life, in the rest of your life, you will always look back at this time as your insurance. No matter what life throws at you, Doesn't matter what life throws at you. If you empower yourself well in this time, you will see that nothing really knocks you off. Doesn't matter what. Once you have that assurance, you will do great things in the world.
And in return, they are even willing to work for pennies. See, an employee already knows what they are supposed to do. A continuous communication of what they are supposed to do, what they are hired for, makes them feel a very irresponsible employee.
They actually live their purpose. And it's only when they live their purpose that their employees don't need to be told what to do. They automatically know.
This is what Isha Foundation has managed to reverse it, and they see a phenomenal difference in the productivity of the employees and the costs associated with that. And the second most psychological strategy what Isha is implementing is the vision communication. See, the thing over here is no individual wants to work their whole life just for survival and salary, and neither they want to give their whole life to fulfill the aspirations of few founders and investors. They want a better meaning to their life.
When we looked at the people, these transformers, right, we realized that they were here not just to create best practices, but to create next practices. Because they wanted to create the future, they wanted to transform people's lives and make it better, right? These are not people who are here just to make things. They are not willing to settle for good enough. They want to become a future creator.
And Isha Foundation has effectively managed to communicate their vision of human and planet transformation and how each of the individuals' work has a greater impact. And it is the duty of the founder to act as a visionary and effectively communicate their vision in a manner that it resonates with the aspirations of the employees.
Both environmentally and otherwise, it looks like our intention is to leave a desert for our children, not a live world. It's time we did something about it. If we don't do this, there is no point being a human being. These 60 million people in Tamil Nadu, if they realize what needs to be done, just in 5 years' time you can have the whole place green.
Today, the spotlight is on a project called Green Hands in India.
We started a mass campaign and 6 years I spent planting trees in people's heads. That's the most difficult terrain, believe me.
And the effective implementation of both this psychological strategy has helped Isha Foundation in getting hundreds and thousands of volunteers working hours and hours for them without any cost. So as a future entrepreneur and business managers, the key takeaway from this case study is that if the management well communicates with the employees that the organization is there for their welfare, that the organization will help them to achieve their aspirations and goals, then the employees will be willing to work much more hours at a much more lower rate. Also, if the vision is communicated well, that gives a better meaning to their work, the retention rate will be much more higher. And that's the end of the case study. If you found anything valuable, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel.